Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hope Hearing Other People's Experiences. My name's Georgie, and I am very, very excited to introduce to you my friend Alexe, who is a moonologist amongst many things, but I used to know her when I was a wreckhead. And so she has actually helped me a lot through her method of incorporating the lunar phases into my own recovery program and understanding sometimes why I might feel rubbish for no reason. She's like, oh no, it's a full moon or whatever it is. So anyway, hi Alexe, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, so what would you describe yourself? Is moonologist the right term?
Yes, it is the right term. I'm a moonologer, but I'm also a self-care coach, and I consider myself a medical astrologer as well. I love blending practices together.
Yeah, medical astrologer. That's really interesting because I remember you were like a missing piece of my recovery. I think I was 2 years in and I was still having this issue every 3 weeks, just going absolutely nuts. And then you said that it was sort of connected to my cycle, my female cycle. So I'd like to ask you a little bit, I don't know, just your cyclical living approach. How does it go?
Right, so we're all used to understanding, the natural cycles of
Yeah.
the seasons and also maybe the moon. But what I find fascinating as well is there are cycles within the stars and within the planets. And by understanding those, we can actually interpret how that can affect our life. And it can open doors to us understanding ourselves, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, me too. And also, like body astrology, what exactly does that mean?
Right, so body astrology is an ancient practice, and it's also known as medical astrology, which by understanding your sign, you can actually it's located to an area of the body. So, for instance, Aries is the beginning of the astrological new year, and Aries is actually ruler of the head. And as we go through the body, we touch on each sign each month, and that goes to another area of the body. So Taurus would be the neck, and then we eventually go down to Pisces, the feet, which is a fascinating sign. It's ruler of our sleep. It's ruler of the pineal gland, all the liquids in the body. And I started to connect how things actually work with elements and chakras, and everything is linked and aligned. And by following a method like this, it means over a year, you can actually touch into every single area of the body and offer yourself some self-care, no matter where you are on your healing journey or wanting unique self-care practices for yourself. You can even do this just by understanding your big three, which, is extraordinary.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd like to know a little bit about the constellation of me. So we did our chart, didn't we? So we did my birth chart, which is very individual to each person. And it was just so eye-opening because apparently I was sort of predisposed to having addiction issues. Is this quite common?
Yes, looking at our charts can actually show us, it can give us keys basically to understand where our emotions may lie and how that can trigger things as well. And by seeing what kind of planet influences is having on you. For instance, Jupiter is about expansion. The moon is linked to all the emotions in the body. So by locating those in your chart, you can get a really clear idea of if, any potential issues, things that might trigger you.
Yeah, and also when to rest and when to work out hard. I mean, that was really such a big mystery to me because I wasn't doing myself any favors by all through the month doing the same exercise routine. And then you told me, no, actually, at this week, lunar phase, cycle, female cycle point, you need to rest. It was really, really lovely having someone give me permission because I always thought I had to keep going, going, going. But the truth is that we need rest, don't we?
Yeah, this is really where I would like to be able to explain more than anything to people that by following like the lunar cycle where I started, it it does allow us for really the need of rest. If you look at the moon itself, there are times when the moon is dark and the time when the moon is bright. And we obviously know, a lot of us know that during a full moon, we may have find it difficult to sleep. So the way
Yes.
to catch up with that is actually to compensate in the dark moon phase to make sure that you're resting, that you're practically, as resting as much as possible, or at least getting those early nights in then. And then
Yes.
you're ready for that full moon phase when it does hit and it doesn't feel so exhausting. And that's really important for us as women to understand that if you don't rest at that phase, then you do feel exhausted by the time the full moon hits.
And honestly, like everything sort of made sense to me when you told me about this. So I'm
Oh,
really grateful about that. But how is it connected to our cycle? Because I've synced up with the moon now, which is crazy. But is that where women naturally would go if they weren't on contraceptives?
well, the moon is it's a great source of us being able to understand when we need to rest, when also we are feeling more active and so on. Um, we all obviously have different cycles. We're not all in sync with the moon, and that's quite normal. But it's great as a guide to actually be able to understand that if, with your personal cycle, your personal moon time, that's when you should be resting. So you can get double the rest if you want. You could use the dark moon and your own moon cycle if you wish to. But yes, my opinion is it really women should be resting and people in general should be resting, both men and women around the dark moon phase. It's like the winter of the 28-day cycle.
When is the
Yes, so
next
you
dark
can see
moon?
here.
Is
Sorry?
the dark moon coming up?
There'll be one in 2 weeks. We had the full moon yesterday,
Yes, we
and
did.
if you see it as a 4 week cycle, so dark moon is really the time when we're most tired and when we need the most rest. The new moon is when we kind of set those new goals, if you like, new intentions, and our energy starts to rise over the next 2 weeks. And that's when you can start bringing in more kind of exercise and workouts into your daytime routine or evening routine. And the full moon, that's a time to really do some self-care and release. And then the energy starts to dwindle again. So that's when we can start turning a bit more inwards, having those early nights, looking after ourselves and, doing yoga, stretch, that sort of thing before the dark moon and relaxing.
And it's actually made me feel so much more healthy and in tune with my own body as a woman because, as you know, we've talked about it before, I have this horrible thing called PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And I really wasn't helping the situation because I was just working out really hard through every single lunar phase. And I was setting myself up for misery, basically. And then I adopted your method, and now it's like I've got another tool in my recovery belt, you know what I mean? So I'm really grateful for that.
Amazing.
And I'd like to move on, please, to, the moon, the secrets of the moon. What are the secrets of the moon? And can you share them with
Well,
me here?
of course I can.
So yeah, where would you start from? Aries. Did you say Aries is the head?
So yes, so let's say, for instance, let's use this energy right now. So right now we're in Gemini season. So
Okay.
Gemini is the ruler of all the twins in the body, which I find fascinating. So it's like the arms, hands, the lungs. It's the upper section because ruler of the head, Aries, neck, and then Gemini. And so we're in Gemini season. So that can give you an idea. Maybe you want to be doing some breath work this season. Maybe you want to go for a shoulder massage, something like that. But you'll always find that the full moon is in the direct opposite sign of the solar season. So that was yesterday, which was Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the ruler of the sciatic nerve. It's also ruler of the hips and the liver. So, and that will be a spotlight on those areas. So we can actually start to make a really lovely little self-care routine for ourselves by understanding this. And you can do this uniquely to you. You can understand that yourself being a Cancer, that you can understand in your opposite sign, that's where you need to strengthen things. And also bring in that self-care practice by understanding the moon signs, which pass through every 2.5 days into a different moon sign. That is in charge of our emotions. So this moon's been really lovely, the full one that we've just had, because it's all to do with optimism. It's a really playful moon. Sagittarius is really fun, always looking for higher learning. And with it being in Jupiter, its ruler, it's all about expansion right now. And Jupiter is just about to go into Gemini tomorrow for a year. So it's really about expanding our communication.
Wow.
I hope that makes sense.
It does. It's honestly, there's so much to this topic. It's incredible. And I love that I have you and your community to break it down for a dummy like me, right? Because I need to have it simplified as much as I can. But put simply, when I'm feeling crazy for no reason, I will text Alexe and I'll be like, why am I feeling crazy? She's like, Mercury's in retrograde, or, it's a full moon, or it's a waning moon, or whatever. And just the fact of like having a reason and a self-care plan, oh my God, game changer. So when you say opposite sign, so everybody's star sign has an opposite sign, is that right?
No, I'm using, for instance, everybody's star sign would have a direct opposite sign on their chart. For instance, I am a Gemini, so the place I would need to strengthen is in Sagittarius, which is like the liver, the hips, that sort of thing. But also because I'm a Gemini, that's something that may be more prominent in my body, which is the shoulders, lungs, etc., if that makes sense.
It does.
What's interesting is your sign is like, who you are, but your rising sign is something which is how other people perceive you, which is fascinating.
Right.
So for instance,
the
you're a
rising, could you talk a little bit about like the intricacies of the star sign? So you've got your rising sign, you've got your sign, and you've got your sun sign, or your, explain. I'm
Sorry,
rubbish. Go ahead.
So there are 3 main things to look out for. One is your star sign, your sun sign, which most of us generally know a little bit about. And that is your kind of vital energy. That is your life force. And that is how you can actually, by understanding your element in there, that's how you can replenish your energy, I feel. So, for instance, if you're a Leo, you may want to go and sit in the sun to replenish your energy. If you're a water sign, you may need to go and, swim or have baths, etc. Then we have the rising sign, which is your ascendant. And that's when you were born, and that is in your first house, the kind of I am. But this is seen to other people. It's like your first impression that you give. It's how you actually look, your appearance. So you may actually feel inside like one sign, but you may look like a totally different sign to other people externally. So they have a different perception of you. Then lastly, thing to look at is the moon, which is your moon on your chart is the ruler of your emotions. So that can be your trigger points. You understand where, you have these emotions which, can trigger you on certain things. But by understanding all of this, we can really get an idea of what we need uniquely. And all the planets around are sort of all the things that influence you. But the main 3 things to be looking at are your sun, moon, and rising. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Is that what you'd call the constellation of me? Like my own spit? So the constellation of you, everybody has one. And it's made up of all those parts. It's because you told me about rising signs and how that's how you appear. And then I'm actually, I'm a Cancerian, but I do appear like a Scorpio because I can give the illusion of being very confident, And I am to a certain degree, but really inside I know that I'm a homebody and I like my creature comforts and I like to take off all my makeup, wear no heels and just watch rubbish on telly and have a bath actually.
You're very family orientated as well.
Yes, I am. Like once you're in my heart, you ain't gonna leave. unless you really piss me off. But anyway, but also I wanted to ask about how can people get involved in your program, Universal Movement?
Sure.
So what's coming soon?
Okay, so for now we have the Moon community, which is Secrets of the Moon, which is a free community that people can join. I am a yoga nidra teacher, so I like to bring these practices into meditation, yoga nidra, to be able to help people replenish their energy. So that's really where we're at now. But I am launching Universal Movement, which is coming in this autumn. And that is literally each month we're going to be focusing on the area of the body, because each sign, as I said, links to an area of the body. It also links to a chakra, an element. And we can bring in all these beautiful self-care practices over like mini sort of rituals over, 28 days. So that's what I'm launching. And it means that if you follow this program for a year, you can tap into every single different energy field of you, take what you need from it, and then you can revisit it the next year and see where you are. But this is just a really nice way of being able to actually understand how to add in some self-care into your life by zoning in on what's already on offer to us, the actual season itself, because it even has, emotional ties, all sorts of things. Like, for instance, right now, Gemini is all about communication. Last month was more about love and abundance and our values. And we're using those themes to actually create these mini 28-day cycles.
Yeah.
So that is launching this autumn. And I please urge you to come to the website and sign up to our newsletter if you want more info on that.
Yes, all the info is going to be somewhere here or here, near me here. So anyway, that's really good. And I've done your rituals and they are really, really helpful, because it's lovely when all of us are in the same boat, it's always nice to have other people around you, particularly for me as a women, to bounce this energy off, because often, like when I was still drinking, I would have been really skeptical of this stuff. I would have turned my nose right up at it. I'd be like, what, just because I was born in one part of the year, I'm supposed to feel like this? But really, it's like, actually, when I dropped all of that rubbish and nonsense, this is like precious. It's a wonderful tool to have in your arsenal. So one more thing I'd like to ask about the Universal Movement. You have lots of different practitioners, don't you, that come in and work with you. So you've got yogis, you've got crystal people. Do you want to tell me a bit about the wealth of knowledge that you pull from?
Yes, I have recently opened the doors to lots of practitioners being able to come in and share their skills, because there's some amazing people out there, amazing healers. So they can come in and actually do a one-class like workshop. There are some I'm, collaborating with, and this is all to come. That is also, it's launched now, but there's a lot of practitioners coming this autumn, which I'm really excited about, which have got so much to offer. They're specialists in all areas of the body and different holistic wellness practices. So it's really quite exciting. That is, you can find that on the website as well. It's under our single classes. And
Yay. So obviously I'll be there, because I really love all this, and it all makes so much sense. Once I started to get into it and really look at like what my body and soul needs at specific times in each month, like not only my sleep's improved, my, I'm long away from cravings for substances and alcohol, but I am very content with just me now, and that is the peace of mind that your little extra tool in my recovery belt has given me, because I like to have a reason when I'm mental, generally speaking.
I love that.
What would you say?
But we are all going through this collective, energy.
Yes.
And it's nice to be able to just take out, the simple things about it. It doesn't have to be like lots of, fluffy words around it. It's literally, it's a link to this, it's linked to that. And this is how we're going to manage this energy and how we're going to release it. I think women have a lot of problems with letting go and
Yes.
allowing themselves to rest. And this is a place for these people, you know, a place for them to come and actually allow themselves to do that. And I find that you have more structure in your life because you know when you should be resting and you know when you should be more active. And just that alone is really powerful, I find.
It is. It is. I found it really powerful myself. And how did you get into all of this? How does one become a moonologist? I would love to know.
Well, I actually started with yoga nidra. I was quite burnt out at the time. I just had my daughter who didn't sleep for a long time, let's say. And I started to notice a pattern of when I was feeling really tired. So I started to write it down. And one day it clocked in my head that it was actually linked to the full and the new moon. So I started to develop on that. Then I found the moon signs, which meant emotions. And then I discovered it was linked to each area of the body. And being somebody who's been in, like, you know, the movement industry for over 20 years, obviously that fascinated me. So I needed to know more. And so I started to link each area of the body, what kind of practice it could be, you know, the link to the planet, the chakra, as I mentioned. And I fell totally down the rabbit hole of astrology and medical astrology and all the moon phases and everything. So
So that is like a
that's
rabbit
how that
hole that I
happened.
wouldn't mind falling down myself. Also, I'd like to, while I've got you here, oh, this is great. It's like a private consultation with you. Like, what crystals do you think are the best for people who have just come off alcohol? They've just got into recovery.
Ooh.
Like, because I really could have done with that advice at the time.
That's an interesting one because I
Yeah,
am not a crystal healer. This is why I've brought in all these amazing like practitioners in
just off the top
who
of your
are
head.
experts in their fields. But I know that there's a lovely crystal which is all to do with you know, kind of loving yourself, like rose quartz. I
Yes.
think could be a nice
Oh my
one,
God, I've
but
got it on.
honestly, don't
Got it
quote
on,
me on
guys.
that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's really good because I mean, this show is intended, you know, as an educational resource for people in recovery, but also anybody who wants to get more in tune with themselves and with the planet and with the universe and all that stuff. And what what would you say the most important thing for somebody who's, you know, their chart showing like they might get addicted to something in their lifetime? The self-care, I guess, at that point is essential, right?
Yes, well, unfortunately, a lot of us get into self-care after there is like a crisis moment. And I
Yeah.
would like to kind of change people's perspective of that. I think knowing your, you know, your birth chart or your human design and things like that are really powerful things to know because the more you understand about you, the more you can understand, ah, that's why I work this way or why I feel this way or think this way. And that is a great key to be able to say, actually, I'm going to take a step back, be more aware of the situation around me, and you know, make those changes. Or just it's for awareness, really. It's like a guidance of awareness.
It's a game changer because I loved having
Well, thank
permission
you.
to rest because I
Yes,
didn't
we all
think it
need
was
that so
very
much.
important because obviously I grew up in an era where, you know, it was just you've got to be thin, you've got to be thin, you've got to be thin, and you've got to be keep looking good. And so that was my philosophy when I got well. Well, I'm going to be in the gym 24 hours a day, and I'm going to, and really, I was burning myself out and probably heading towards a relapse. So I think knowing when to rest and when to work out hard and when to set intentions and everything, it's all really great practice. And I think more people should know about this before they are in crisis. You're absolutely right. Because it doesn't have to be like that. You can start doing this before it happens. How wonderful is that? So is there anything else that you would like to add, Alexe?
Um, just next time that you look at the moon, be aware of like you know, how much magic is actually there, because it's really valuable just knowing this very simple thing. Dark moon means rest, full moon means let's be active.
Well, thank you so much to Alexe, and thank you everyone for watching. All of the links will be under this video, and see you next time.